Well, hello guys, this is your girl Diva Fashionista, and it's been a long time since I filmed a video, but this movie right here brought me out of retirement because I finally got around. It's been a minute, but I got around to watching the Tyler Perry movie, A Fall from Grace, which is now currently streaming on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, I hope everyone here has seen the movie because I'm not holding anything back. This is not going to be a tongue-in-cheek. This is going to be a review. I'm going to talk about the movie. I'm going to talk about what I liked and disliked about the movie. So hopefully you've watched it. Not go watch it and come on back, right? I was seeing everything going around social media, and I hadn't had any really interest in watching the movie, but what made me want to watch it is because I just kept hearing critiques, and then a couple people I'm subscribed to did reviews, but I was left not really knowing. I didn't get through the review because they were trying to do a blow by blow review, and I feel like if I want to know a blow by blow what happens in a movie, then I'm going to go watch the movie. I don't really need someone to tell me then this happened and that happened and that happened. That's not enjoyable. I kind of just want to see the person's perspective. So I didn't get through it for that. And then some of them just didn't. They were so busy talking about wigs and continuity and plot holes and flubs that I didn't really get a sense of what the movie was about. So this is the review for you guys who've seen it, want to talk about it, and or you just really want to know what the movie is about. You come to the right place. So this movie was supposedly filmed in 5 days. And yes, the wigs were terrible. And I'm going to critique, yes, I'm going to have to pull on Tyler Perry's salt and pepper wig myself because there were things that I just found just glaringly wrong. Overall, I do have to say I did enjoy the movie. I didn't feel like the movie was trash, as everyone is saying. It wasn't the worst it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. Blair Witch. Yes, that was the worst movie I feel like I've ever seen. It wasn't the greatest. It wasn't A Color Purple. It wasn't his best work, but I think it was enjoyable. And I think that the point of movies, if we take it back to the history of movies, the point of a movie is to escape. It's escapism. You either go and you get to escape your problems for the hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours in this case of the movie, or you're meant to feel something. It's meant to evoke emotion, or it's meant to start a conversation. And I feel like I didn't leave the movie feeling like blown away, but it's definitely a conversation starter. I watched the movie with the hubster. He watched it straight through, so I'm like, you enjoyed it too, even though he's trying to say it was a terrible movie. He watched it with me straight through, and we talked about it on 2 separate days on our commute to work. We found ourselves talking about it and talking about film history and films that we like. I just feel personally right now that Black cinema, the Black audience, is just never happy. I just feel like every time someone puts out a movie, it's been critiqued. Like, we are so hard on ourselves. It goes back to something that my mom always talked about, which was like a crab in a barrel mentality. Like, we can't get ahead because we're so busy pulling each other back. And I'm like, even with movies, we're not satisfied. And that just bothers me. Maybe that's a separate video. I'm not going to really get into that too much, but I just felt like every single movie, Slim and what's that movie? You know what I'm talking about. There was a problem with that. The Harry movie, the problem with that, like, and so on and so forth. So we got Tyler Perry doing this movie, and the movie is about, let's get into the synopsis of what the movie's about. The movie's about a woman named Grace who's in jail, who is interested in pleading guilty to the murder of her husband. She's been charged with crimes in relation to the murder of her husband, who is missing. They have not found the body, but he's assumed dead, and she's assumed to be the culprit. Also, she supposedly has confessed, because that comes out. They're like, oh, she confessed, and they said, well, did she confess to you? So yes, we have her public defender, who is Jasmine, who is in a relationship with a cop. So 2 civil servants are together in this relationship, which is an interesting dynamic. The husband in the beginning of the movie witnesses suicide. He tried to prevent an older woman from committing suicide. He wasn't successful. And he comes home, and that was odd to me that he didn't even discuss it, but I guess it's all in a day's work. leaves his job there and comes home. His wife, who's also struggling with her job, she's been, voicing her concerns with being a public defender. She doesn't like it. She plans on paying off her loans and getting up out of there. It's not what she likes to do. So we later find out that Jasmine has a reputation for just pleading. She has never defended. She's a public defender that's never defended anyone. She's never gone to trial. So when she goes to visit Grace for the first time in jail, she's apprehensive because she's never even done that. I find that very odd to believe. You never met with your client, you never visited in jail. You just, okay, here's the deal, take it, let's go and tell them this is what we're going to do. Very odd. But anywho, I'm not, it probably happens. It's probably happening right now as we speak. But yeah, so she meets with Grace, and for whatever reason, she's intrigued by Grace. And she wants to know a little bit of her backstory and know why that this woman who seems to be earnest, seems to be intelligent, just wants to just plead to something. She doesn't even want to give up a defense. She doesn't even want to try to see if she could get less time. So the deal she's supposed to be taking for this woman is a 15-year sentence, and she gets to be close to home where her son could visit her in jail. That's the only thing that matters to her at this point. We see a very broken woman, and now we want to know, I guess, along with Jasmine, why she's so broken. So long story short, she's been fleeced. Pretty much, she got into a relationship with this young man. So we get to see the backstory through Grace of what happened. She's telling her love story of how she fell in love with Shannon. He's an artist. She went to his, I don't know what you call that. The word escapes me right now, but it would be like not a display exhibit, his art exhibit. There you go. So she goes there, and as she's talking to Shannon, she doesn't realize that he's the artist, and she's telling him that she feels like the artist is a woman. So now there was a lot of what people refer to as Easter eggs. You really have to pay attention. If you pay attention to certain little things, they reveal themselves later on. Because originally, Grace thought that the artist was a woman. And Shannon has this big moment where it's like, ha, 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 I'm the artist. And she feels stupid, and she leaves the art exhibit. And he later tracks her down. And she's all, how did you find me? I wonder how he found you. He says, oh, you signed my registry. You found the bullshit. Girl, you should have. There was things, all these different little red flags all along the way, and I just think Grace decided that I want to say Jasmine. I don't know, every time I want to refer to Grace, I want to say Jasmine, so please excuse me. But there was these little clues along the way that this man wasn't shit, and I just feel like she just totally ignored him. He was able to track you down even though you walked up out of the exhibit. That was one thing. And then him just being an artist, you wasn't suspicious? He's asking you on your date about your husband and how much money you got in a settlement. That is none of his damn business. Anyone who is really concerned about getting to know you ain't asking you questions about your settlement. Like, really, really, really weird. But they go to dinner at a diner, and this is where everyone was talking about, because people were eating, drinking out of empty glasses. Everybody had water. There was nothing else on the menu but water, because all the cups looked clear. Then people pretending to eat. The extras were looking in the camera. I did notice that they seemed a little too focused on what was going on this man and this woman's date. That gave me pause. That bothered me. And then they were there. Okay, you guys are on this date and you're in the diner for a long period of time because you're enjoying your company. Why were they there so long? That was just like, all right, so they're not gonna get up. Finally, the couple in the middle gets up, and then the waitress brings them wine. I don't know. I haven't been to every diner in America, but what diner serves wine? I just thought that was just like, okay. Alrighty, so they fall in love, and they really are having such a good relationship. They go off, and he proposes in this field with some fake ass flowers and some fake ass lightning bolts. But okay, it was romantic. She falls for him. She's head over heels. And then as my man says, we see Big Butt Mama and the young guy doing the damn thing. I was just dying. That was a moment that I just cracked up laughing. Like, did we need to see them actually in the act? Or could we just have just seen them laying in the bed and it was implied that they were sexually active? That just gave me, I was just like, whoa, too much, Tyler, too much. Did not need to see that big butt mama riding. I did not need to see that. But one of the other things that bothered me was when Grace says, why me? You were supposed to, girlfriend, you were supposed to have fun with your plaything. I wrote notes, but I don't even need this for this review, right? Just to fan myself because I'm hot. But you were supposed to just get your groove back. You were supposed to let him knock the dust off that thing and keep it moving. You was not supposed to lock that down. Why you? Why? An intelligent woman should be asking herself why someone so visibly younger would want to be with you. And I'm not saying she's not a good person, and not, sometimes it's just how a person makes you feel. It's just like it's got to be three reasons why this young man, who people were saying that Shannon wasn't all that, or he was ugly. Shannon was good. Shannon was good looking. He was not an ugly man. Besides that Beijing wig, that wig was trash. Why he had a high top with the taper side? Like, what was going on with that? I just try to chalk it up to, this is Tyler's idea of an eccentric or flamboyant artist. He had a artsy look, but that wig, and my man was like, he's probably bald-headed, and he was right. He was right, because I googled him. He is bald-headed. But I was just like, what is this? What is going on in his head? He was good looking. He had a nice build. He was a bigger man. He wasn't too ripped up, which most women are not into anyway. He's attractive man. He probably could have any woman. Why is he choosing you, big butt mama? Why? It's because he's either using you, he needs a place to stay, he has no money, he wants to be taken care of, he wants a sugar mama. It gotta be something in that vein. Why you? Like, I'd be hesitant. I'd date him, but he ain't moving in and we ain't getting married. Hell to the no. So her marrying him, it was just like, sis, you are so dumb. All kinds of dumb. All kinds. I don't know. The couldn't have been that good. But we're giving backstory through Phylicia Rashad, who is her best friend, which is another thing that gave me pause, because it was like, I realized when Phylicia Rashad said, or probably was said later on, and I missed it and the hubster pointed it out to me, because I'm like, how is this your best friend? You calling this woman your best friend, and she ain't know that you picked out them drapes in that house. That was like, wait a minute. And then it was like, oh yeah, they've only been friends for like 5 or 6 years. So this was a 5 or 6 year fleece, which was crazy to me. Like, you guys put this much, you had these many balls in the air at the same time. That's criminal mastermind. That's, like, I often say that a lot of times criminals should actually put thought into doing something legal. They'd be millionaires if they put their time and their effort into something positive, because that was just like diabolical, really. Like, but she didn't know that another thing that gave me pause is the fact that they went to her ex-husband. So this is the backstory and why Grace is so vulnerable and that she's so susceptible to this nonsense, because she's divorced. Her husband left her for his secretary, with whom she found cheating on her. So she's broken. Why they went to his wedding, I don't understand, or why they were even invited to the ex-husband's wedding. It's asinine to me. I don't get that. But they went, and she made the comment about the drapes, and that's where we get, okay, they haven't been friends that long. Another thing that did not make sense to me was the fact that Jasmine only went to go speak to Phylicia Rashad, or Claire Huxtable as we love to refer to her. She didn't go speak to the son. She didn't go speak to anyone. There was nobody else. Grace didn't have anybody else in her life. She didn't have any other friends. She didn't have any other family. What about the church members? She didn't socialize with anybody outside of this woman, that this is the only witness at her trial. Like, that just was crazy to me too. Like, you have no friends, y'all. That's why you need a village. They say it takes a village. You need a village, because somebody would have told you, like, besides Claire Huxtable, who's in on the fleece, that you need, no, this is not the right person. You do not marry this man. This is not a good look. Anywho, so yeah, that was a problem for me. So as she's telling the story, basically the love affair was so hot and heavy. They get into it, they get married, and then she starts to see really who he is. And that's when she believes that he's cheating on her, but which of course he's cheating on you. He's a good 30 years younger than you. Could be your son, of course. And so he's cheating, even though he tries to play it off like, no, I was doing something special for you, honey. Yeah, you wanted to believe that. And then he has the audacity and the nerve to bring a woman into her house. And he's cheating on her in her house with this woman. And that's where we get the ashtray bitch. That is some of, like, one of those lines I kept hearing. Ashtray, ashtray bitch. Everybody loves this scene. It was hilarious. Yeah. She tries to call the police on him, and it's like she can't get this dude out of her house. So now she's stuck with dude who's doing her wrong, and now she finds out. This is the part that really made me mad, because she gets fired. Grace gets fired from her job because there is implied that she stole. There's $300,000 missing, all under her numbers, and the bank fires her. The bank that she works at fires her, and she now has to pay them back the money. Bullshit. See, $300,000 is considered grand larceny. So if they suspected that she would, I'm sorry, I'm talking to you like you're slow. Sorry, guys, because I'm really talking to Tyler Perry. If they suspected that she stole the money, she'd be in jail for that crime, not murdered. She'd be in jail. She wouldn't have been able to even murder her husband because she would have been in jail. They would have locked her ass up. That is a federal crime. That amount of money, yes. Secondly, dude wouldn't have been able to steal that much money from her job. No, he would not have, because there's no way he would have had access to the system or to the funds from their own home. He would have had to been inside the bank, logged into her computer to steal the money. And where would Grace have been while he was doing this? The restroom? So yes, if money was missing from people's accounts, they would have been calling in to say, hey, there's money missing. Most of us will not have thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars missing, and we don't notice it. And it's missing, and nothing was reported, and we would have been able to track it back before it got to this big amount. Yeah, no, someone would have known. And again, how would he have had access? We see him taking pictures of her while she's sitting at the desk, but yeah, that doesn't make any sense. He would have had to be logged into the system from the bank. So where was she? The bathroom? You would have seen it on camera. You would see her, because the bank is not going to just say, okay, her numbers, that's good enough, she's guilty. No, you're going to have something called a forensic accountant come in and really track through each transaction and go through blow by blow, and you're going to go back to the camera and look and see who was at the computer at the time that this happened. So Grace probably really would have gotten fired. Say if he was able to finesse all that and steal all this money, she probably still would have gotten fired for not protecting her code or protecting her passwords. But they would have known that it was Shannon who did it, and a warrant would have been out for his arrest. And so what bothered me even more is when she got home after being fired, she's still more concerned about him cheating than she is about losing her job and her livelihood. I was really pissed. I'm like, really, bitch? That was like one of my really bitch moments besides Marion. It was like, really, bitch? You really? That made no sense. Okay, so then then he takes out a mortgage out on her home. Which was, how was he able to take out a mortgage on her home without her signature? Now that I probably would believe, but the whole stealing from the bank, they should have just left that shit out, because that was just dumb. But the second mortgage, okay, maybe I could believe that. What also did not make any damn sense to me whatsoever was when there was a flashback of the lady when she found out about the mortgage, and now she's telling her the address. So when now Cicely Tyson and Jasmine are talking, and now she's telling her that her address, she would flash back to the moment where the lady in the bank was saying that. How would she know that? So you're telling the story, and you're telling her what happened. Grace is telling Jasmine what happened. She's going to tell Jasmine the exact address of where her stuff was going, and she remembered it to the point where she could say whatever, Sycamore Street, and then she would repeat it to Jasmine. That made no sense to me. Also didn't make no sense to me why she found Cicely Tyson on the outside of the house and takes her back in, which was clear danger is all the warning signs going on. Don't go in the house. That's the viewer. That's what I'm saying. Don't go in the house. You go in the house with her. So Cicely Tyson couldn't tell her out in the street what was going on. Couldn't say, hey, weak and frail as she was, we shouldn't go in there. It's dangerous. These people are dangerous. She got old people chained in the basement. I need to go. You need to get me as far away from here. Call the police. Like, no, we needed to go back in the house to the danger. Okay, I guess to move the plot along, right? Because we needed a climax. We needed to see this big climax with the fight and everything going on. Yes, and now what made absolutely the biggest plot hole to me was the fact that Shannon is still alive. Shannon is, of course, Claire Huxtable's son. Yes, Claire Huxtable's son. They've been fleecing. They're in on this fleece. There's been a big old fleece this whole time. But he's alive and able to fight. We see him with bruises and a bandage on his head. After Grace beat the shit out of this man, he's alive and able to fight. What made no sense to me, because could he have survived? Maybe he could have survived. Could he have gone to the hospital? Could have gone to the hospital. But how much time has passed? Where is he still bruised in the face? That didn't make sense. Because he could have gone to the hospital under his real name. Because let's assume that Shannon is an assumed thing. He's somebody else. So, of course, they wouldn't connect the dots between this man going to the hospital and getting bandaged up and things like that. It's highly plausible that happened. He could have gotten medical attention. But, yeah, being that seriously beaten, you would have required an ambulance coming to haul his ass off and patch him up. So yeah, that didn't make sense. So now they're in the house and the cop, right? This cop love leaving people in handcuffs. He needs some more training. Jasmine needs to go back to law school, and he needs more training, because you done left the first criminal handcuffed when you get the alert that this woman is a criminal. Nothing came up on Shannon, but something came up on her. She's a criminal. She has numerous mugshots. So now he knows, even though he dropped his wife off in the neighborhood, he didn't drop her off to the house, because, of course, she says, for whatever odd reason, drop me off over here and not in front of the actual house. That would have been like, hey, babe, no, I witnessed a suicide here. No, drops her down the block or in the neighborhood, and she walks the rest of the way, which made no sense, but okay. But okay, he leaves the first person handcuffed. Now he gets there. He's tussling with Claire. She tries to beat him with the frying pan, which made no sense. He already called the police. He already called for backup. Instead of you just trying to get out of there, you just trying to just stall the inevitable. But he leaves her handcuffs in the kitchen, and apparently she gets away. If I'm not mistaken, she gets away. Y'all can leave that down below. She gets away. But so he goes out and they fighting, and he's alive, and then he finally gets murdered. Shannon is dead for real now. So yeah, all these old ladies trapped in the basement. Okay, interesting. So Jasmine was able, because of all this new discovery and evidence, we get to see that Jasmine is able to get Grace off. Jasmine is a terrible lawyer. Let's get back to Jasmine being a terrible lawyer. How you going to rest your case in the middle of a trial? You're not going to further question the witness. You're not going to call for a recess, which most good lawyers would do, is just call for a recess. You need a moment. You need to do something, so that she would then go and talk to her superior and get her superior to tell her, okay, what she should do next or what happened. Or she was totally blindsided. She's terrible. The trial is going, and of course, Grace is found guilty because her lawyer was terrible. She tries to read now when she will be giving a closing argument. She's trying to call the lady to stand again, and she's held in contempt. If nothing else, I don't know, she was just trying to get Grace a retrial, because that would have been grounds for a retrial, because ineffective counsel, she was the worst. She was ineffective counsel, which is another thing that didn't make sense. I know I'm backtracking at this point, but at one point when she's speaking to Grace in the jail, Jasmine speaking to Grace, Grace gives her this speech about her being a terrible lawyer. All she does is please, and she's really tearing into her. And I guess we need this moment as a character defining moment, because it lights the fire that Jasmine needs to get on her due diligence and really try to do her job. But it just didn't make any sense, because if you are saying you're guilty, you confess, and now you're willing to plead out to the charge, why would you need to talk about her being a terrible lawyer. And how would the inmates know who the hell she is? Because she's never been to the jail. So how would they, like, that just didn't make any sense. But overall, I have to say, I think I touched on all the points that I wanted to touch on. His review was probably very, very long. It was a 2-hour, movie. So it's a lot to say. I did enjoy the movie. I did think that it was a good movie for what it was. The story, it was a good story, but yeah, Tyler probably needs people to check and balance. You need people who had experience in these fields. You kind of got to run your ideas with someone. I would have wanted him to have talked to a banker and said, well, this is my idea and this is what I'm thinking and this is what I want to go on. And so a banker could have said, yeah, that's not plausible. I would have wanted him to go talk to a lawyer who would have said, yeah, this is kind of how law works and this is not plausible, or this would be a better idea. I think that he needs that more than he needs writers. I do think that he does need to employ a lot of black actresses and actors, up and coming actors, but I do think he does need to employ other people who maybe allow people who wouldn't have the opportunity to put a film out that opportunity, and allow them to use his resources, and he can still profit, because come on, filming, directing, producing, and doing it on your own lot, I'm sure his profit margin is huge. It's huge. So he's not dumb, but he could make smarter moves, is what I wanted to say. Let me know down below how you felt about this movie review. What are your thoughts? And always, as usual, let's keep it classy and respectful. Love you guys. Thank you for watching. And if I don't catch you, you will catch me in the next one, because I'm sure I will be filming more videos in February. All right, guys. Later.